What if our lives are part of a script that's been written before? A story we're living moment by moment, page by page. Imagine, every place you visit, every person you meet, somehow it's all been conducted, performed, and even remembered. But here's the mystery. Sometimes, just for a second, we remember pieces of this script. A conversation we've never had feels familiar. A street corner we've never turned looks strangely known. A face we've never seen before seems like an old friend. In these moments, it's like we're caught between two worlds, the one we know and another, blurry and half-remembered. It's an unsettling sensation that makes us question what's real. Are we perhaps recalling pieces of a past life? Or is there something deeper, a hidden layer in our memories, a glitch in our minds that lets us peek into something beyond? Today we're diving into the world of déjà vu, exploring the science, myths, and mysteries behind why certain moments feel like familiar echoes from a life we know we've never lived. Déjà vu, French for already seen, is that strange feeling of familiarity with something entirely new. Picture yourself sitting in a restaurant you've never been to, surrounded by unfamiliar faces, and suddenly feeling like you've lived this exact moment before. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Studies estimate that up to 90% of people have experienced déjà vu, brief, mysterious, and a bit unsettling. But why does it happen? And could it mean more than just a quirky brain glitch? Déjà vu isn't a modern mystery. Ancient philosophers and mystics had their own explanations for it. Greek philosopher Plato believed déjà vu was a memory from past lives, and evidence of reincarnation. In Buddhism, déjà vu can be seen as a reminder of karma, hinting that our souls have journeyed through many lives. And in Hinduism, it might be a connection to our Atman, or true self, who has lived countless experiences before. Others believe déjà vu could be a brief crossing of parallel dimensions, where two timelines overlap, giving us a flash of familiarity with something from another life entirely. And did you know in some African cultures, déjà vu is a message from ancestors, a form of guidance, or even a warning? While myths about déjà vu are fun, science gives us some interesting explanations too. Our brains are incredibly complex, and déjà vu might be connected to the temporal lobe, the part of the brain that handles memory. Sometimes there's a mix-up between memory and perception, making us feel like something new is actually familiar. This creates the strange feeling of, I've been here before. A condition called temporal lobe epilepsy helps us understand this better. In people with this disorder, the brain's neurons sometimes misfire, causing unusual sensory experiences like strong déjà vu. For them, it's a common and intense feeling, often linked to how the brain processes memories during these misfires. But what about the rest of us who don't have epilepsy? Scientists think déjà vu might happen when the brain processes information too fast, or when there's a small glitch in how memories are formed. For example, if something reminds us of a past experience, even just a little, the brain might mistakenly recognize it as familiar. Another idea is that it happens when our short-term and long-term memory systems overlap briefly, tricking us into thinking we've already seen or done something before. The dual processing theory offers one explanation. Picture yourself in a bustling cafe. Your brain is processing the sights, sounds, smells, and textures all at once. But if one part of your brain processes this information a split second before another part, it can create the illusion that you're experiencing the scene twice. Even though science has given us clues, there's still a lot we don't know about déjà vu. Whether it's caused by memory errors or quick brain processing, it shows how fascinating and mysterious our brains really are. Now here's where things get really interesting. Some quantum physicists, like Dr. Michio Kaku, have an interesting idea.
Is it ever possible, on any scale, to perhaps flit between different universes?
What if déjà vu isn't just a trick of the brain? According to quantum theory, there might be infinite parallel universes, each slightly different from the next. These universes could exist right alongside ours, and déjà vu might happen when the boundaries between them briefly overlap. This means that during a moment of déjà vu, you could be connecting with another version of yourself in one of these alternate realities. In that universe, you might have already experienced the moment you're living now, walking the same path, saying the same thing, or seeing the same scene. This could explain why déjà vu feels so vivid, like it's more than just a memory. While this idea sounds like something from a sci-fi movie, it's based on real concepts in quantum mechanics, which explores strange and mysterious things about time, space, and reality. Even though it's just a theory, the idea of déjà vu as a glimpse into parallel worlds has captured the imagination of both scientists and everyday people, making us wonder if our reality is part of something much bigger. Research suggests that déjà vu may be more common during times of stress, fatigue, or when we're mentally overloaded. When we're exhausted, our brain's normal processing slows down, causing short-term and long-term memory to overlap in ways they normally wouldn't. This confusion might be why déjà vu is more common in young people, who are often under more stress or are experiencing the rapid development of memory structures. Have you ever felt like you knew what was going to happen next during déjà vu? This sensation is called a false premonition, and it's one of the more baffling aspects of déjà vu. Cognitive scientist Anne Cleary suggests that our brains rely on patterns to make predictions. In déjà vu, we might get the sense of predicting the future, but it's actually our brain tricking us into thinking we're recalling an outcome that's already familiar. Some scientists believe that déjà vu might have an evolutionary purpose. Imagine our ancestors trying to survive in dangerous environments. If they could quickly recognize familiar locations or patterns, they'd be more alert to potential threats. Déjà vu might be a modern version of this survival instinct. So, in a way, it could be our brain's way of saying, hey, stay alert. You might need this information to survive. Most déjà vu experiences are harmless, but if you're experiencing it multiple times a month, it might be worth talking to a healthcare professional. Frequent déjà vu can sometimes be a symptom of neurological conditions, especially if it comes with other symptoms like memory lapses, confusion, or even small blank moments. For most people, déjà vu is a rare and harmless experience, but it's worth noting if it's frequent. In déjà vu research, virtual reality has become an exciting and helpful tool. Using VR, scientists can create realistic, interactive environments where they can carefully control what people see and experience. This allows them to trigger déjà vu-like feelings in a lab setting and study the phenomenon more closely. For example, they can change small details in a virtual room or recreate scenes that feel familiar to participants, helping them understand how and why déjà vu happens. VR makes it easier to observe déjà vu as it occurs, instead of relying on people's memories of the feeling, which can be unreliable. Researchers can now explore whether déjà vu is caused by memory mistakes, brain patterns, or the way we process familiar and unfamiliar things. By studying it this way, they're also learning more about how our brains handle memory and the feeling of familiarity. Who knows, maybe one day we'll finally unravel the mystery of déjà vu and understand why it feels like a strange, fleeting echo from somewhere else. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next topic. And tell us in the comments, what do you think déjà vu really is? A message from another universe? A brain glitch? Or something else entirely?